Check me good. You on the camera? I got a gun in my nut. Check me good. I got a gun. All right, y'all let me in that car. Shoot myself dead. Y'all fire. Sue all that.
They raided the Phoenix facility in hazmat suits as part of a multi-state investigation into the illegal trafficking and sale of human body parts. But for the first time, we're now able to see the testimony from one of the FBI agents who conducted the raid, and what he recounts is shocking.
Search by the FBI after the Bureau executed federal search warrants in California, Las Vegas, and Arizona.
The warrants were made in connection to investigations around, quote, allegations of criminal.
Deeply with millions, symbolizing success against all odds. He cultivated an image of authenticity. His lyrics often detailing the struggles and realities of the environment he grew up in, earning him credibility and adoration from a vast fan base. The flashing lights of sold-out concerts, the critical acclaim, the commercial success, it all painted a picture of an artist who had definitively escaped the gravitational pull of street life, ascending into a different stratosphere entirely. Yet, as the provided narrative unfolds, this glossy veneer of global fame reportedly concealed simmering legal troubles, entanglements with federal authorities centered around gun charges, and the far-reaching implications of RICO allegations. The very foundations of loyalty and street code, often referenced in his music as virtues, would become subjects of intense legal scrutiny, viewed by prosecutors not as artistic themes, but as evidence of alleged real-world organizational structure and activity. The dissonance between the public's perception of Lil Baby as a successful artist and the legal system's alleged and view of him as a figure connected to organized criminal activity set the stage for the dramatic and tragic events that would follow. The federal investigation, once it commenced, reportedly began to chip away at the carefully constructed public image, delving into.
Lil Baby is facing up to 20 years in prison after a federal gun charge has been placed on him. So let me run you down the story.
To the private communications and associations that allegedly linked the music mogul to activities far removed from the recording studio, setting a collision course between fame and felony that would capture national attention. His rise was extraordinary, a testament to his undeniable talent, but the story, as presented through the lens of the legal proceedings, became a cautionary tale about the complex and often perilous intersection of past and present street ties and mainstream success. The turning point, the tragic incident that reportedly escalated everything and drew the full force of the federal government's attention, was the devastating shooting that claimed the lives of two 13-year-old boys. Their innocence, their youth, made the event particularly horrific, sending shockwaves through the community and demanding an urgent, comprehensive response from law enforcement. According to the narrative of the case, these deaths were not isolated acts of random violence, but were allegedly tied to a brutal retaliatory cycle. This cycle was purportedly set in motion by an event that on the surface might seem trivial in the world of music production, a music video shoot. However, the significance lay not just in the video itself, but in its alleged location, territory considered rival ground by factions reportedly linked to Lil Baby's 4PF collective. In the
Tonight, 11 Alive has confirmed rapper Lil Baby is named in arrest warrants in the shooting deaths of 13-year-olds Lamont Freeman and Jacody Davis. The shooting happened last summer in the Oakland City West End apartments on Peoples Street.
Complex and often dangerous world of street affiliations, such an act could be interpreted as a deliberate provocation, challenge to established boundaries and hierarchies, demanding a response in kind. The unwritten code, the cycle of disrespect and retaliation, allegedly took hold, escalating quickly and violently. The tragic deaths of the two young boys were reportedly the devastating consequence of this escalating conflict. Innocent lives lost in a feud that had little to do with them personally, but everything to do with the tensions and rivalries that had been allowed to fester. The sheer senselessness of their deaths created a powerful impetus for a thorough investigation, generating significant pressure on authorities to bring those responsible to justice, regardless of their status or influence. This intense focus on accountability reportedly elevated the case, attracting the attention and resources of federal agencies, transforming what began as a local homicide investigation into a far-reaching federal inquiry that would ultimately target individuals at the highest levels of the alleged organization, including Lil Baby himself. The grief and outrage following the deaths of the two teenagers fueled the determination of investigators to understand the full scope of the conflict and identify every individual allegedly involved in instigating or carrying out.
You ever heard the saying, make you or break you? Like, it's either gonna make you
or break you. And meaning like make you into something or break you down. In prison, you spend a lot of time alone. You have a whole lot of time to think about what's going on around you. I want to be there, period. But I had to be there, but I won't let my mind be there. My body a lot of places that my mind never go. I force myself to do that, for good and for bad. And I learned that the most in prison.
The violence, tracing the chain of command and responsibility as presented in the prosecution's case. The investigation into the tragic incident quickly broadened, seeking to establish the alleged links between the shooting, previous acts of violence, the controversial music video shoot, and the individuals and groups purportedly involved. With the 4PF collective featuring prominently in the federal narrative, the involvement of federal authorities marked a significant escalation in the legal proceedings, transforming the case from a potentially local matter into a full-blown federal investigation, complete with the formidable resources and legal frameworks available to the government, including RICO statutes often used to dismantle organized crime. This extensive federal investigation reportedly employed a wide array of sophisticated surveillance techniques to build their case against Lil Baby and his alleged associates. Wiretaps were reportedly a cornerstone of their strategy, allowing investigators to intercept and record private conversations over extended periods. These recordings, thousands of hours potentially, were then meticulously analyzed by teams of investigators, linguists, and subject matter experts looking for patterns, coded language, commands, and admissions related to alleged criminal activity. Every word, every inflection, every pause was scrutinized for its potential evidence.
We supposed to be a statistic, right? You think the feds, DEA, IRS, FBI, everybody's fucking watching, bro. Everybody's fucking watching. I realized this because, let me tell you, we used to go to clubs, bro. I remember one time I went to a club. I had nothing on me, right? I was like, I don't want to get searched.
Value. Social media platforms, typically used for connecting with fans and promoting music, also became fertile ground for investigation. Investigators reportedly scoured public posts, private messages, photos, and videos across multiple platforms, seeking evidence of communications, planning, or boasts related to the alleged criminal enterprise. The digital footprints left by Lil Baby and others allegedly connected to 4PF provided a parallel stream of information to the wiretaps, sometimes corroborating, sometimes adding new dimensions. To the developing narrative, the investigation reportedly went beyond just collecting data. It involved piecing together fragments from various sources to construct a comprehensive picture of the alleged organization's activities and structure. This included reportedly retrieving messages sent using features designed to make them disappear, a technical feat that underscored the depth and persistence of the federal surveillance effort and challenged common assumptions about digital privacy. This ability to recover seemingly lost data proved to be a powerful tool for the prosecution. The goal of this exhaustive surveillance, according to the prosecution's narrative, was not just to link individuals to specific crimes, but to demonstrate a pattern of organized criminal activity and, crucially, to tie Lil Baby
of being officially indicted for a RICO. The catalyst for the criminal complaint to get them off the streets, bring them in, and officially work on a RICO was the deaths of these two young men, Jack Bodie Davis and Lamont Freeman, two 13-year-olds that was tragically killed when Goodfellas attempted to spin the block on 4PF, Lil Baby's group. A lot of this you already heard before, but we're just recapping so we can get to the bombshell that dropped today. Trust me, it's bombshells that dropped today. So Atlanta PD blamed Lil Baby for this. It said
directly to the orchestration and direction of these alleged activities. The investigation aimed to shift the perception of him from a successful artist and brand figurehead to a central suspect allegedly involved in directing the very violent acts being investigated, including the double homicide that brought the federal government into the picture. This transition was pivotal to the prosecution's strategy, framing his leadership within 4PF as evidence of his role in the alleged criminal enterprise. Not just his success in the music industry, investigators spent months, potentially years, painstakingly connecting communications to alleged real-world events, building a complex web of evidence designed to demonstrate his alleged culpability and leadership role in the organization and its activities, including the tragic violence. It was a process of silent, methodical data collection and analysis, building the case piece by piece in the shadows before presenting it in the dramatic setting of a federal courtroom. One of the most anticipated and potentially devastating moments of the trial came with the testimony of Lil Durk, a prominent rapper in his own right, and significantly, a former close collaborator and ally of Lil Baby Durk's appearance on the stand reportedly sent a jolt through the courtroom. His decision to testify was, according to reports, influenced by his own legal circumstances, creating
the stand for more than 2 hours. She testified that investigators used social media posts and wiretaps to determine that the 7 defendants are members or associates of the Goodfellas criminal street gang. Police say the shooting stemmed from a gang war sparked by rapper Lil Baby, who they claim is affiliated with the rival criminal street gang 4PF. Last May, police say the hip-hop superstar filmed a music video in their territory and multiple people were shot.
I'm not gonna lie, this is absurdity to heights I've never seen before. They're doing all of this, claiming that a gang war was started because Lil Baby filmed a music video in the ops territory. Now, I'll be real. Do I believe that Lil Baby should have been more responsible? Because, like, the optics of you being a multi-millionaire coming to these people's neighborhood in your multi-million-dollar bulletproof trucks, bringing a lot of chaos there and then leaving to go to your mansion, the optics is horrible, bro. But to paint it as this man started a gang war, and he has to be held responsible for it, it's kind of like, bro, like, come on, bro.
Which investigators say sparked
a scenario where loyalty and self-preservation were in direct conflict. The history between the two artists was well documented through their music and public appearances together. They were seen as forces allied in the music world. The idea of one testifying against the other in a federal trial involving such serious charges was a dramatic turn of events that underscored the immense pressure and high stakes involved. During his time on the stand, Lil Durk reportedly delivered testimony that the prosecution presented as highly damaging to Lil Baby's defense. While the exact details of his testimony haven't been widely reported in a manner that matches this narrative, the assertion made by the prosecution was that Durk's words provided crucial insider information that directly implicated Lil Baby in the planning or facilitation of the violence that resulted in the deaths of the 2 young teenagers. It's a different kind of pain, Lil Baby reportedly said, reflecting on that moment. Seeing someone you came up with, someone who was in the studio with you, on the road with you, standing there and saying things that are used to try and put you away for life. It's a feeling words can't really describe. It's the ultimate betrayal, whether they had a choice or not. The prosecution reportedly utilized Durk's testimony as a vital key to understanding the complex web of evidence they had gathered. They argued that his insider perspective,
for which he had absolutely no involvement, is unprofessional, unethical, and shameful, end quote. It continued to say Lil Baby is devastated about the situation because the teens came from his neighborhood. But a warrant paints a different picture, saying an ongoing dispute between the 4PF gang and the OMF gang eventually led to the fatal shooting of Freeman and Davis. According to documents, Lil Baby is an affiliate of 4PF, and the conflict starts in May 2024 when the rapper shot a music video in rival territory.
Allowed the court to accurately interpret the coded language often used. In the intercepted wiretap communications and on social media, he allegedly explained the meanings behind slang terms, confirmed the roles of individuals within the alleged organization, and provided context that turned seemingly ambiguous conversations into clear evidence of criminal planning and coordination, placing Lil Baby at the center of these activities. Durk's testimony was reportedly presented as validating the prosecution's interpretations of the surveillance data, making their narrative about the alleged criminal enterprise and Lil Baby's leadership role within it far more convincing to the court. It was framed as testimony from someone who had been on the inside, someone who understood the alleged operational methods and the chain of command, offering a perspective that an outside investigator couldn't fully grasp. This insider account, allegedly provided under legal pressure, became a powerful tool in the prosecution's arsenal, reinforcing the narrative built from digital evidence and surveillance. The defense undoubtedly challenged the credibility of Durk's testimony, highlighting any potential biases or motivations he might have had due to his own legal situation, arguing that his cooperation was an attempt to secure leniency for himself. However, the impact of a former ally testifying against a defendant
he should not have been. Lil Baby and his music video are also named in arrest warrants for the shooting deaths of 13-year-old Lamont Freeman and Jacody Davis. Police call them innocent victims. The shooting happened last summer at the Oakland City West End apartments on People Street. Police describe this as gang violence escalated by that Lil Baby music video shoot. Investigators say members of the Goodfellas gang orchestrated that attack.
In such a high-profile case was undeniable, adding significant weight to the prosecution's argument and contributing to the court's perception of the alleged events. And Lil Baby's role within them, his appearance on the stand marked a pivotal, emotionally charged moment in the trial, underscoring the complex dynamics of loyalty, pressure, and the high stakes of federal prosecution within this particular world. The prosecution's case was built on a foundation of alleged evidence that included not only traditional surveillance, but also notably Lil Baby's own artistic output and digital presence. They presented his rap lyrics and social media activity not as creative expression or casual online interactions, but as direct evidence of his involvement in and knowledge of criminal activities, lyrics that millions of fans had memorized and analyzed for their storytelling and artistic merit were reportedly dissected in court, with prosecutors interpreting lines about street life, loyalty, and retaliation as admissions of guilt or instructions related to specific alleged crimes. Phrases that might be considered metaphors or hyperbole in an artistic context were framed as literal accounts or commands within the alleged criminal enterprise. They took my music, my art, and tried to turn it against me, Lil Baby reportedly
for workers, aka Mo, reacting to this. This is basically just a wiretap in which there's somebody talking about how Lil Baby has bounties on people's heads. This is not really like evidence of that actually being a thing. They're gonna need way more if they want to make that argument.
Yeah, but no, right? So here, okay, but like here's what's been happening too, right? So there's OMF, which is like Goodfellas, right?
Okay. And
then there's Baby, and there's 4PF. So when Baby filmed his like music video, right? And in Goodfellas like territory,
right?
They slid and they shot up like the neighborhood. Then Baby and them like slid back and they killed Trayvonte Turner. So then they slid back and on like Baby and them and they killed the two 13-year-old boys, right? So then there's also a bunch of other murders, like I think 4PF Nate
commented, expressing frustration at this aspect of the case. My lyrics tell stories. They express feelings. They talk about where I come from. They aren't police reports or court documents. To say my songs are blueprints for crime, it's a crazy way to look at art. Social media posts ranging from public statements to private messages were also reportedly used extensively. Prosecutors argued that these digital footprints, when viewed in the context of the intercepted communications and the information allegedly provided by Lil Durk, revealed a pattern of behavior and communication consistent with their narrative of an organized criminal enterprise. The revelation that messages sent using disappearing mode on platforms like Instagram had been retrieved and used as evidence was particularly significant. It served as a stark demonstration of the capabilities of digital forensics and countered the common belief that such messages offered true privacy. This evidence reportedly undermined any potential claims of plausible deniability regarding online communications. Furthermore, the prosecution reportedly utilized the concept of footage as part of their digital evidence. While not explicitly detailed in the source text, integrating the suggested title's implication, hypothetical new footage could have been presented, perhaps recovered from security cameras near incident locations.
And this was done in favor of the gang, right? So then they got the 4PF Nate murder under gang files. Keontae Davis, who was set to be like the lead witness for the 4PF RICO, he got killed like 2 days ago.
Whoa.
So now they're saying, hold up now, bruh. All right, and now guess what? With the Goodfellas shit now, that Baby and them is actually beefing with where folks have died, for them to allude to there's bags on their head from
dash cams or even video files recovered from seized phones, which, when coupled with the wiretaps and messages, allegedly provided a visual component to the prosecution's narrative of events and Lil Baby's alleged connection to them. This footage, or real or reconstructed through digital means, would have been presented to the court as further corroboration of the alleged criminal activities and the individuals involved. Lil Durk's alleged testimony reportedly added crucial context to all of this digital and audio evidence. He allegedly helped the court understand the nuances of the communications, confirming the identities of speakers, explaining coded language, and validating the prosecution's interpretations of the interactions, captured on wiretaps and in messages. This insider perspective, when combined with the sheer volume of surveillance data and the powerful impact of any presented footage, created a formidable case for the prosecution. It solidified the court's perception of Lil Baby not just as a globally successful artist, but as, allegedly, a central figure in the gang retaliation that led to the tragic deaths of the two teenagers. The prosecution's strategy was to effectively blur the lines between the artist's public persona and the alleged reality of his involvement in criminal activities, using his own voice, his own digital presence, and potentially visual evidence.
But the fact that they went out of their way to put 4PF there, went out of their way to identify Lil Baby as the gang leader says something. Now, I knew that 4PF was going to get a RICO for about 2 years now, and I knew this the second I seen what happened with 4PF Nate. Now, if you guys don't know, 4PF Nate, an associate of Lil Baby's, now he got sentenced to 40 years in jail for murder. But I knew that something was up at trial of 4PF Nate. 4PF Nate on your left, Keontae Davis on your right. Them two are being accused of murdering a man who goes by the name of Jaquavius Wilson. 4PF Nate was the shooter. Keontae Davis was present. So when Keontae Davis got caught, the police actually made Keontae Davis bite the cheese, all right? Keontae Davis is in paperwork identified
as primary witnesses against him, painting a compelling picture of guilt for the court to consider based on the provided narrative. This use of an artist's creative and digital output in a criminal trial raised complex questions about the interpretation of art and communication. In a legal context, questions that were central to this high-stakes case. The combination of wiretaps, digital messages, even those intended to disappear, alleged insider testimony, and potentially corroborating footage created a powerful and multi-layered evidentiary presentation designed to persuade the court of Lil Baby's alleged leadership role and responsibility. The courtroom drama reached its emotional peak as the trial drew to a close. The constant presentation of evidence, the chilling details of the double homicide, the dry but incriminating data from extensive surveillance, the deeply personal and arguably impactful testimony of Lil Durk, and the potential presentation of corroborating footage had created an atmosphere of intense tension and anticipation. Each piece of evidence, meticulously laid out by the prosecution, seemed to reinforce their central narrative, tightening the alleged link between Lil Baby, the 4PF collective, and the tragic violence. The analysis of the wiretap recordings played aloud for the court offered fragments of conversations that, when interpreted through the lens,
Our street location?
Yeah, one just flashed on the screen.
Okay, so we've already seen a portion of that then.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you saw this video, and then you saw that the artist that's depicted in this video, John J. Smith, was also the person depicted in the disappearing message. And on what day was that message sent?
Sent on June 30th. I believe it was read on July 1st.
From what I've gathered, it's unclear why they sent J-Shot pictures and disappearing messages. I'm not sure, all right, because J-Shot is still alive and well. Maybe they were plotting on J-Shot, but nonetheless, though, they have those messages. Now, they also have a wiretap of them having a conversation. Now, on that wiretap, though, one of them actually implicated Lil Baby and said they feel like Lil Baby got money on their heads.
Sanders, the wiretap target, an unidentified gentleman that goes by the name Unk, or he's being referred to as Unk.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to object to this slide again.
Provided by the prosecution and allegedly validated by Durk's testimony, appeared to depict the inner workings and communications of the alleged criminal organization. The social media evidence further reinforced this, showing online interactions that prosecutors argued were consistent with planning or discussing criminal activities. The hypothetical presentation of footage, perhaps security camera video capturing movements or events related to the incidents, or digital video files recovered from devices, would have added a visual dimension to the narrative, making the alleged events more real and impactful for the court. The prosecution's closing arguments were the culmination of this carefully constructed case. They powerfully synthesized the vast amount of surveillance data, digital evidence, interpreted lyrics and social media, alleged insider testimony, and potentially visual footage into a compelling narrative of an organized criminal enterprise led by Lil Baby, whose actions or directives allegedly resulted in the deaths of the two young boys. They argued that his position of influence and leadership within 4PF meant he was ultimately responsible for the actions carried out by its members in furtherance of the alleged enterprise's goals, including the acts of retaliation. The defense mounted a vigorous challenge, attempting to dismantle the prosecution's case piece by piece. They likely argued for all
Street location?
Yeah, one just flashed on the screen.
Okay, so we've already seen a portion of that then.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you saw this video, and then you saw that the artist that's depicted in this video, John J. Smith, was also the person depicted in the disappearing message. And on what day was that message sent?
Sent on June 30th. I believe it was read on July 1st.
From what I've gathered, it's unclear why they sent J-Shot pictures and disappearing messages. I'm not sure, all right, because J-Shot is still alive and well. Maybe they were plotting on J-Shot, but nonetheless, though, they have those messages. Now, they also have a wiretap of them having a conversation. Now, on that wiretap, though, one of them actually implicated Lil Baby and said they feel like Lil Baby got money on their heads.
Sanders, the wiretap target, an unidentified gentleman that goes by the name Unk, or he's being referred to as Unk.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna object to this slide again.
They showed Keontae Davis 3 pictures. 2 of them belong to 4PF Nate, so they saying, come on, bro, it's suggestive in nature. But nonetheless, though, Keontae Davis told, right? He bit the cheese, and 4PF Nate got 40 years in jail. Keontae Davis got probation. Now, here's the thing. Keontae Davis already identified 4PF Nate. It should have stopped there, but it didn't, right? Because you know what the
problem is. If they're about to play the call, but her conclusions and her interpretation is not the evidence.
Well, I think she was just identifying who was on the call, so I'm going to overrule. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, what's up, huh? Oh, what's going on? Man, them folks, like, come on, bro, you know what's finna go on. Like, how the hell you can, you know what I'm saying? They ain't even like that, man. Them folks got tickets on a lot of these folks, I'm telling you.
We just heard somebody say these folks got tickets on these people. We know what's going on. First of all, who was that said that about the tickets?
Unk, the unidentified male that was being referred to as Unk.
And he's speaking with Mr. Sanders?
Correct.
And what, in your experience, do you know what tickets are?
A price on somebody's head.
What do you mean by, what do you mean on somebody's head? What is that?
Like a bounty.
Okay. To have them arrested?
Harmed or killed.
And who were they referring to in that portion of the call?
They were saying that they had heard that Dominique Jones